Okay, a very good early Monday morning to you. Here we are, 1:34 a.m. on this late Sunday night, early Monday morning. Meteorologist Todd Howell here. Meteorologist Mike Simon in the Channel 10 Weather Center, and our weather team will continue to keep you updated. We are looking at some strong to severe thunderstorms moving closer to southeast Kentucky and the northern plateau. We do have severe thunderstorm warnings for Wayne County, Kentucky, severe thunderstorm warning for Fentress County, Kentucky, and everything about right on track, monitoring and tracking a line of severe winds moving across portions approaching the plateau, Kentucky. Speaking of winds, just wanted to start you out with what we're seeing right now. This is just the general broad wind field. Winds sustained and gusting rather 25 to almost 45 miles per hour across the region. So we have a strong southerly wind, and that's going to continue tonight. So we do have a weather impact alert that's going to continue tonight. Thunderstorms and high winds. Now, we've got thunderstorms with some lightning, but as the line of stronger storms and high winds moves in, may see less lightning, but we're still going to have a high wind. A lot of wind energy will be tracking in. So from now, started at midnight, but running through noon as we get into our Tuesday, we're going to have this weather impact alert for the high winds and storms tonight and early in the morning. That's our main focus right now. Again, strong winds, possibly severe winds in excess of 70 miles per hour in some areas. Isolated tornadoes possible. The main impacts will be the threat for damage and wind gusts tonight. Power outages on the table, hopefully not, but and some tree damage. And so even some hail reports possible. Now, with heavy rain, once we get past early tomorrow, this morning, past about 7 a.m., we're going to transition to a much colder pattern with bitterly cold wind chills. So we've got a decent chance for snow showers coming our way later on this Monday afternoon. That's right. Chance for severe weather overnight tonight and early morning, and then snow showers with very cold temperatures and low wind chills coming our way later this Monday night into our Tuesday morning. So we'll talk about the cold, wintry side of this system that arrives later this Monday afternoon and Monday night and Tuesday morning. We'll put that to the side for now. We'll talk more about that later. Right now, though, we have new information to give you. And again, if you've been in bed, gone to sleep, or maybe you're still staying up late and watching the weather or curious what the weather's going to do, that's why we're here. We're going to bring you the very latest updated information throughout the rest of this morning, overnight, and take you right through the event. So maybe you're asleep, waking up, checking on the weather, and again, you can keep it tuned right here with the live stream WR Plus and our app any time of day or night, and we'll keep you updated. So here's the latest. Severe thunderstorm watch has been issued for most of East Tennessee in the yellow shade here. Let me take it forward so you can see it better. This is in place till 7 a.m. So again, we have a severe thunderstorm watch for damage and winds. Could be in excess of 60 to 70 miles per hour and 70 miles per hour plus on the higher end. This is in effect until 7 a.m. So this is about for an additional 5.5 hours from right now. So that's what we're looking at as we go into our 7 a.m. So tornado watch is in place until 6 a.m. This includes Jamestown, Mortburg, and Crossville, Spring City. It does include Sweetwater, Athens, and Tellico Plains. So it does include the counties of Monroe, McMinn, Meigs, Ray, Bledsoe, Cumberland, Fentress, and Morgan counties. It's until 5 a.m. Central Daylight Time and until 6 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So that's going to be extended now, and that does include the rest of Southeast Tennessee. The greatest threat for isolated tornadoes within this line is going to be up on the plateau into Southeast Tennessee, where the tornado watch is in red. This is where the best chance for any isolated tornadoes will be. There's enough shear in the atmosphere where we could see some spin-ups and a possibility of a few tornadoes. So that's why there's a tornado watch. The rest of our area, mainly damage and winds. That's why it's a severe thunderstorm watch instead of a tornado watch. So there's the kind of the caveat there. Matter of fact, as the line of storms, which I'm about to get to, and we'll show you all the radar and futurecast details in just a moment, as it moves further east, it will slowly weaken once we go later on this morning. The timeline is now on the plateau in Kentucky through 7 a.m. So from now through 7 a.m., again, we have that chance for some severe winds tracking through. There's the severe thunderstorm watch until 7 a.m. Most of East Tennessee. High wind warning is in place for the mountains until 10 a.m. this Monday morning. And the current warnings we do have right now does include Fentress County. And Boom, new warning just issued for Cumberland County, and that's going to be in place until 1:45. I'll read you the very latest as we get that and bring it back full here. Severe thunderstorm warning for Cumberland County, literally just issued as we just came on the air to talk about that, as I was showing that to you rather. Cumberland County, again at 12:37, severe thunderstorms were located along a line extending from Monterey up to Sparta. So it's just on the other side of the plateau, about to move into Fentress and Cumberland counties. And again, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts possible. And this storm is going to be moving east at 50 miles per hour. So severe thunderstorm warning for Crossville and Jamestown, Fentress, and Cumberland counties. And again, that's in place until 1:45 a.m. Central Daylight Time. So that's the brand new severe thunderstorm warnings. Wayne County, Kentucky, Fentress County, Tennessee, and Cumberland counties. We have a wind advisory. Just want to go through the other particulars, and we'll get right to Futurecast and radar. A wind advisory is in place until 8 a.m. Once we get past 7 a.m., that's the severe threat will be ending across the region, if not before. I'll show you that Futurecast in a moment. As far as the high winds, going to go through 8 a.m. and a high wind warning until 10 a.m. for the mountains. So some strong wind gusts in general just expected to continue. All right, here's a look at the radar. Here's this line of strong to severe storms. This is Middle Tennessee. Let me slide on over and show you just the Cumberland Plateau. I want to give a little bit more of Middle Tennessee for perspective though, and I'll take it full. So where you see this intense line of red, yeah, this intense line could contain some damaging winds. The red colors denotes the heavy rainfall and potentially some strong to severe winds. Could be in excess of 60, maybe 70 miles per hour. So the severe thunderstorm warning that was just issued for Cumberland County, including from Monterey to Sparta, heading toward Malin, Pleasant Hill, and also will be heading toward Crossville within the next 30 to 45 minutes. So again, right now it's 12:40 a.m. Central Daylight Time. This is going to go in effect until, it'll be in effect until 1:45 a.m. Central Daylight Time. So for the next hour, severe winds could be 60 mile per hour plus, moving into Cumberland County and Fentress County. This is a line of damaging winds. Now, right now in yellow, we have severe thunderstorm warnings. If you see something that will pop up with red, that's a tornado warning. So yellow, severe thunderstorm warning, red, tornado warning. We have numerous severe thunderstorm warnings all up and down this line. Let me kind of show you what we're looking at just for perspective here and show you the different things. Let me show you just the lightning. Let's take a look at how much energy we got. We got decent amounts of lightning coming in. So that's what we're looking at as far as that goes right there. Let me show you, go back to this particular radar view, and I'll show you that coming right up. That's what we're looking at. Let me take off the radar and just show you what we're looking at as far as there's the lightning, but the warnings in place. These are all severe thunderstorm warnings. So basically, all of eastern Middle Tennessee and approaching the Cumberland Plateau. Matter of fact, new warnings and just being issued for Ray and Meigs County as well. So that whole line that we're seeing on radar right here is now being warned as severe. So this line does have and is expected to have severe thunderstorm winds. What is a severe storm? Winds of 60 miles per hour or greater, quarter-size hail, 1-inch diameter hail or larger, or if there's a tornado, obviously that's severe. So 60 mile per hour winds, quarter-size hail or larger. In this case, we got damaging winds. So that's what we're looking at right now with that particular warning that's all along the plateau. Here's a look at the severe risk, and I believe this just updated, so we'll try to get that to come back up in just a moment. But the risk is definitely there as we go through the rest of today, and so we'll get that map worked on in just a moment. I think Storm Prediction Center's updating their graphics. Here's what we're looking at right now. Again, that line of storms, as we look just at radar, is continuing to track across the plateau. So there's a look at what we're seeing. Again, that's the Cumberland County severe thunderstorm warning. It says 2:45 Eastern. That's 1:45 Central Daylight Time. Sliding over to just view this line. Again, Jamestown to Crossville. Let me go ahead and show you what we're looking at in terms of the wind velocities. Yeah, here's what we're looking at. This is the potential of some severe winds. I can already tell when it has a certain shade in this particular radar view. These are severe winds in excess of 60 to 70 miles. Yeah, there you go. 76 mile per hour gusts is potentially coming onto portions of the plateau. So that's what we're looking at coming into northern Fentress County. Got a 62 mile per hour gust. I'm just querying the velocity means wind. So the Doppler radar is looking, we usually show you rain and the radar, but precipitation rather. So we also could look at the wind the velocities, how strong are the winds, and what direction is the wind going. And we have winds going in different directions. That's wind shear. When you get wind shear, you can have spinning motion, possible tornadoes. So right now we've got straight line damaging winds in excess of 60 to 70 miles per hour, continuing to make its way onto the plateau. So that is the very latest on those particular winds. That's what we're looking at right now. Let me show you just a look at the last 30 minutes, and I'll zoom on in. So here's what we're looking at. You can kind of see the delineation of this line. Let me take it full for you to see that. See that coming down from Jamestown to Clark Range? That line, that red line there, that's some of those pretty intense focused winds. That's damaging winds that continues to be tracking down into portions of Fentress County. So that's what we're looking at coming into Fentress County and northern Cumberland County right now. Let's see, continued, the tornado watch I mentioned earlier for Cumberland and Fentress counties is going to be until 3 a.m. Central Daylight Time. I think I may have said, I did say 6 a.m. Eastern. That is not for Cumberland and Fentress. It will be in place until 3 a.m. Central Daylight Time. So we're looking at that strong line moving onto the plateau now. And over the next couple of hours, we could see some severe winds and the possibility of maybe some isolated tornadoes. So that's what we're seeing right now. We do have, this is Mike Simon, if you can hear me, and Shelby, if you want to relay to Mike, got a tornado warning for Wayne County, Kentucky, and into McCreary County, Kentucky. So we'll go ahead and we'll be hopping on. I'll probably toss it over to Mike Simon in the Channel 10 Weather Center. We'll do a on-air cut-in as well for this. This is a tornado warning for Monticello and headed toward Whitley City, just to the northwest of Pine Knot. Let me read you this information. I'll bring you back on camera. And so we got a tornado warning for McCreary and Wayne counties until 2:15 Eastern time. Over here, 2:15 Eastern time, tornado warning. It's a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado, and it was located near Albany, 11 miles north of Byrdstown. That's in northern Pickett County, and continuing, moving east at 60 miles per hour. So right along the Tennessee-Kentucky state line, but moving to the east at 60 miles per hour. So moving along very fast, and it will continue to be tracking, again, very fast to the east at 60 miles per hour, slightly north of east. So Monticello to Whitley City, again, that's what we're seeing right here. So a tornado warning for you in Wayne County, Kentucky, and to McCreary County, Kentucky. Let me zoom on in. We'll give a storm track of this particular storm, and cooperative in play there. Mentioned Whitley City, not quite to you in Whitley City. Sorry, here's the vantage point. So it does include Monticello, Gregory, Coopersville, Powersburg, Zula, and almost to cooperative, and coming out of Wayne County into McCreary County for Kentucky. So let me do a further track for this to let our viewers in Southeast Kentucky. This does come on down into portions of Pickett County. I mentioned Byrdstown, which bridges in between Pickett County, in between Fentress, Tennessee, and Wayne County, Kentucky, in Wayne County in Kentucky, excuse me. So here's what we're looking at. Some parameters have changed on the desktop here, so bear with me 1 second while we get that fixed. But here's what we're looking at. Let me do an updated track of this particular line as it's continuing to come on to the east at about 60 miles per hour. So here's what we're looking at. Again, I'm going to go switch radar sources, and I believe we're just on the Jackson, Kentucky radar site. Slide this over here. And I've got to change one more parameter on the radar. Bear with me, and we'll get that fixed. There we go. So now that's correct. Apologies on that. So there's a look at, again, let me bring up the communities. Apologies. So I get this work. So Wayne County, Kentucky, again, I'll kind of go ahead and go back on this. Bring up that tornado warning into McCreary County, Kentucky. And again, that's what we're looking at across the region right now as far as that particular tornado warning. Again, that's severe thunderstorm warning. I'll try to get that fixed for you. That is a tornado warning, and again, that's going to be in place until 2:15 Eastern Daylight Time. So it's a severe thunderstorm with a tornado possible that's been indicated. So that's what we're looking at in Wayne County, Kentucky and McCreary County, Kentucky. So again, we'll keep you updated as far as the very latest, but that is what we're looking at in Kentucky. Again, we do have that potential for a possible tornado. Now, elsewhere across the northern plateau, mentioned Cumberland County, up into Fentress County. Again, that's what we're seeing as far as this line of severe thunderstorms all the way down the plateau from Crossville to Spring City. Again, couldn't be looking at the potential for some of these strong to severe storms. Let's take a look at our model forecast. And here we are coming up on 2 a.m. at 1:48 a.m. Eastern time. 12:49 now Central Daylight Time. We're looking at Crossville to Jamestown. Again, this line of storms continue to track on in. Hey, Becca. And we are looking at tornado warning for Wayne and McCreary. Oh, okay, perfect. Yeah. Thank you. And we're looking at this line of storms, Crossville to Jamestown, continuing to track on to the east. So this is the line that could be severe as it continues to move on in. We'll go hour by hour. So this is coming up on 2 a.m. from Crossville to Jamestown, up into Monticello, and perhaps also Somerset up into southeast Kentucky. Once we get to 3 a.m., this line of potentially damaging winds from Spring City, Kingston, up toward La Follette and Williamsburg will continue to track in. Again, damaging winds is the main threat. Some isolated tornadoes possible within the line. Again, there's enough shear and spinning motion. It's mainly damaging winds, but there could be some embedded tornadoes. Whether it's a severe storm or a tornado, though, we could be looking at some damage that's fairly likely when we're talking about 70-mile-per-hour plus winds. And so even tornadoes can be 40 to 70 miles per hour on the weekend. So just to give you an idea, severe storms can produce similar damage as a lower-end tornado. And we could be looking at something like that when we're talking about severe thunderstorm winds in excess of 60 to 70 miles per hour. So that's 3 a.m. What about here in Knoxville? It looks like that line will be arriving probably between about 3 to 4 a.m. A lot of times these lines, they tend to speed up. Models have been kind of showing 4 to 5 a.m., but they may have been a little slow. So speeding back up between 3 to 4 a.m., probably coming into Knoxville area from Lenore City, Oak Ridge, Knoxville, Hardin Valley, on up toward Powell and Halls, Fountain City, up toward Tazewell, up into Harlan County, Kentucky. And by the way, Harlan County, Kentucky, you've got a winter weather advisory for blowing snow and maybe several inches later on Monday. I know, higher elevation Smoky Mountains have a winter weather advisory for later Monday afternoon through Monday night. There's a second phase of this system that's going to be cold and wintry. Even in the valley, we have snow showers in our forecast Monday afternoon and evening. Welcome back from spring break. All right, so here's what we're seeing. Back to what we're tracking tonight, though. It's this line of strong to severe thunderstorm winds with heavy rain. And again, this is 5 a.m. It's moving just past Knoxville. So from Dandridge to Pigeon Forge and Sevierville, and 5 a.m. down toward Wares Valley, this is the line of strong to severe thunderstorm winds. Severe thunderstorm watch is in place, means severe weather is possible in and close to the watch area until 7 a.m. So that's what we're looking at. As we go 6 a.m., again, the main line of storms, it's going to continue slowly weakening once we get past that 5 to 6 to 7 a.m. The watch goes to 7 a.m., 7 p.m., forgive me. I normally work out nights. But here's what we're seeing as we go 7 a.m. That's what we're seeing for upper East Tennessee, back down in the mountains, and then it's kind of tapering off. And then just while we're on this, we're going to go back and cover our radar views in a moment and basically stick to that while we're doing this live stream and keep you updated throughout the morning. Yeah, Rebecca Sweet's in, so and Julia Quady will be here as well. So Mike Simon and I will be shifting and handing off to Rebecca and Julia, and we'll keep you updated throughout the morning as we go in time. Cassie Nall also will be doing work behind the scenes, so to speak. So here's what we're looking at. Once we get for noon, we start to see that colder air moving in. Look at what happens once we get into the afternoon. This is 1 p.m. We got snow showers with, I know. Colder air is going to come rushing in behind the strong cold front that's moving through early in the morning. The rest of our Monday morning, it's going to be breezy and trending colder, somewhat drier, but by midday into the afternoon, we get some squally snow showers and flurries moving through. Now, it could have light accumulation on the plateau, several inches possible in Kentucky, and the mountains are going to see several inches plus. I'll talk more about that in a moment. We can even see a light accumulation on the grassy surfaces here in the valley. I don't want to spend too much time on this right now because we're in a severe mode in terms of severe weather possible. So I just want to give you a brief look at just while we're going through our maps. And again, we'll talk more about that in a moment. But mountains particularly, could be seeing, 3 to 6 inches up the Smokies. It's March. It won't be a problem. An inch or less up on the plateau. Light accumulation on the dusting on the grassy surfaces possible. Seeing it, yes. Matter of fact, could be seeing it pretty good. gusty and coming down, and that's what we're expecting as we get into our Monday afternoon and Monday evening. It's going to be very cold in the 20s later on this Monday night, Tuesday morning. We'll put that to the side and talk about that later. Back to our current radar right now, and just to bring you, again, up to date with what we are seeing across the region. There have been, there's quite a bit of some wind damage reports upstream coming out of parts of West Tennessee as the computer is waiting to load. Hit it about 20 seconds ago. Should be bringing you up a radar map here shortly. There it is. All right, getting slow. Let me come on this side and we'll give you the updated info. Here's what we're looking at. We do have that severe thunderstorm warning, as I mentioned, for Fentress County, and that's going to continue also for Cumberland County. I'm looking at the very latest. That's 115. And let's see. Looking at some continues Cumberland and Fentress, looking at watch information. Apologies. It's got a lot of different information going on here, so we'll try to get all that straightened out there coming up. All right, so right now we do have a brand new warning that has been pretty much more than likely National Weather Service in Morristown is just going to keep this going. Probably this whole line is going to be warned at times. So if you don't have a warning now, stay tuned. You probably will. Severe thunderstorm warning has now been issued for Campbell, Anderson, Roane County, and Ray County. Again, this whole line of some strong, intense winds within the line could be 60 to 70 miles per hour and very heavy rainfall. So this is a line of severe thunderstorm winds that's been warned for as severe thunderstorm warnings all up and down this line. So some damaging winds appear likely anywhere along this line, and it stretches from Kentucky all the way down toward Chattanooga. Let me widen out and show you a wider view. So that's what we're looking at, all the way down into parts of Alabama. Come on in, Liddy.
Mike's on air right now.
Okay, perfect. You want me to join him or just keep doing this?
You
Yeah.
can join him if you want.
Okay. Okay. Join him in there.
Yeah, he's on
Okay.
air right now.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay. All right. Yes. And hey, tell me, just communicate that in here. We're on Mike Simon's on channel 10 right now. You can go ahead and hop over on there. I think we're going to take this stream and hop over to, we'll switch that on to our on-air coverage. So we'll let you be a part of the cut-in that we're doing now, again, over on channel 10. So before I leave you, that line of severe thunderstorm stretches from northern Alabama all the way up into parts of Kentucky. And again, it is severe. We are looking at 60 to 70 miles per hour, 70 mile per hour severe winds all up and down this line. So I will send it on over to channel 10. We'll take that full, and we will see you back for an updated live stream coming up momentarily and keep you updated throughout the morning. Have a good, safe rest of your night.
Stretch southward. I'll have to switch different radar products so you can see how broad this area is. That line continues to stretch all the way down to the coastline into the Gulf, into Louisiana. So we're not the only ones that are getting affected by this storm. There are a lot of folks are, and there could be some power outage associated with it too as this sweeps eastward due to these strong winds. Again, that tornado warning will continue until about 2:15 for those up into Wayne and McCreary County, and that line is moving so fast. I'm going to go ahead and track it out one more time for you now, since it has continued to sweep eastward, just to give you a better idea now of where it'll be and when it will be affecting you. And I'm tracking out this entire thing because there could also be straight line wind associated with it too that can cause some damage as well. And it's moving about 60 miles an hour, so it's real fast. Here are some of those places again that I mentioned earlier. If it holds together, it will be in New Haven at about 13 minutes, Oneida 17 minutes. This line will anyway. And Pine Knot at about 19 minutes. If you live in Sawyer, it'll be there close to 25 minutes from now. So that's really really picking up and moving fast. And you got to think about it, how fast it's moving, as well as the winds associated within this storm kind of get added together. And that's why we were so concerned with this particular storm system over the past few days, as we have been watching the model data and been watching these storms potentially develop. Once they started to develop, getting a better idea, and that's what happened earlier today, they started sparking up out over the Central Plains. I'm going to go ahead and also show you the watches we're under. We still have a tornado watch, and includes Southern Valley and also the Cumberland Plateau, and a severe thunderstorm watch for the rest of us. Everybody's shaded in yellow. That's till 7 a.m. So this is going to continue to sweep east right across East Tennessee. Everybody will eventually get affected. Now, they're probably going to weaken somewhat as they move into the valley and to the mountains, but there's no guarantee of that, considering how much they've stayed together all the way across the state. And looking at the way it looks now, it is really holding its own as it's moving into the plateau. There's a lot of rain behind it too, so we're going to continue to get some rain just like they're getting in Nashville. We could pick up a couple of inches of rain over the course of the night in some places. Other places, well, they may get half an inch to an inch if you end up getting a little bit less. That's still a good soaking, and we definitely need that. Look at the difference here between the air masses, and this is why this is happening so much and so strong. We have cold air pouring in from Canada straight through the Central Plains, and it is dry and cold air clashing with that warm, moist Gulf air that continues to come in out of the southwest. It's been windy all day, continues to be windy. We've had wind gusts in the order of 30 to 40 miles an hour and maybe up to 65 miles an hour in some of the higher elevations of the Smokies. We're at 71 degrees even at this hour. That is extremely warm at 2 o'clock in the morning, and that's why it's some concern. Also, let me go ahead and go to the dew points if I can find that real quick. I wanted to show you how they have increased up ahead of this storm. Most of our dew points now are in the mid to upper 50s, even saw a 60-degree dew point earlier. Now it's dropped a little bit there in Spring City. It's at 57. So there's still a lot of moisture in the atmosphere for this to work with to keep these storms active, and that southwest wind is still extremely gusty. So there's that line. It continues to drive east. You can see some overlapping in some of the severe thunderstorm warnings that have been issued. But the reason why that tornado warning has been issued, look at that bow. It's really coming out a little bit faster. That part of the storm line is moving faster than some of those other places. So that's another reason why there could be a potential tornado associated with that. If not, there still could be straight line winds that can cause damage too. So there it is again. It's already gone through half of the polygon that was issued. You can see it's right in the middle of it through Monticello, and it continues to drive to the east. It affects McCreary and Wayne County. It is radar indicated. We don't have a visual on it just yet, or have a possibility of somebody seeing it. And of course, if we get a report, we'll let you know immediately with this particular storm. Lightning is not as prevalent as it once was, but don't let that fool you. These storms have such gusty winds that it could cause damage up and down that entire line, and that's why they've warned that entire line. And you can see there's many places under warnings for the severe thunderstorms, like Cumberland County until 2:45. That one is also radar indicated. I'm going to take these off so you can see the actual line itself in motion. And this is how it progressed the last 3 hours. It went through Nashville, went through Shelbyville, and it ended up continuing to drive into Chattanooga pretty soon, the southern line. Since it's at an angle, of course, it's affecting those of us that are in Kentucky first, and also the plateau. So we'll continue to track these storms as they stay active and drive eastward. Hopefully we won't get too many tornado warnings out of this, and hopefully we won't have any tornadoes at all that are actually indicated other than radar. Radar indication, just a safe bet to do that in case we do have that spin that's noticed in the broad upper levels make it to the ground. A lot of these don't make it to the ground, but all you need is one, and that one would cause some issues. I'm just going through some products here to see if I can see anything else. There's a velocity product. It depends on the site, on what colors they use, but typically the green is toward the actual radar site that's being used, and red is away. And when you get them so close together, that's showing there's some kind of broad upper level circulation, and that's why that tornado warning was issued. You see that coupling up there? I'll have to zoom in a little closer. And right at around, at the moment anyway, where I see it, right around Gregory, Mills Spring, is kind of a broad circulation there, and that's why they're under a tornado warning for those particular counties. Let me go ahead and go look at some shear products that can show us sometimes, if it does pop up, what type of atmosphere we have in the upper levels and whether or not they're turning in certain directions. There are the shear tracks you can see back toward Columbia, and that's showing there was some shear. Shear is a spin, like a different levels of the atmosphere. As you go up, you may have winds going at different directions. So let's say you're at 1,000 feet, and this is Todd. He's doing some things in the other room. If you have 1,000 feet and the wind coming in from the southwest, well, then you go up another 5,000 feet and it's coming in out of the northwest. Well, that creates shear and can create spin in the atmosphere. I'm going to change this back. So this is actually behind me and not what Todd's doing. He's doing a live stream right now on the air talking about all this too. Precipitation rate really coming down fast in a very short amount of time. So you're going to have some heavy downpours. Jamestown, you already have noticed a lot of rain come through there, and it'll continue to drive eastward, but you'll still have some steady rain behind that. I'm also going to show you some of the reports that we've had. Now, these are the storm reports that are damaging reports out of these storms. Haven't seen any tornado verifications, but we have had wind damage. Here we had trees down in Livingston because of the strong winds associated with these storms. We also have had trees down right near Cookville. Let me see exactly what that report is. In Allgood, there are trees down near Highway 111 and Highway 293. Has been some hail reports, but you see they're far and few in between and mostly back to the west. And that's why hail hasn't really been much of a concern. There's a new severe thunderstorm warning now until 2:45 for those in Laurel, Pulaski, Whitley, McCreary counties. And it's pretty much the same storms that are getting the same storm system that's getting warned out ahead of it. The warning, it's hard to keep track when they have so many warnings, but you can clearly see it goes up and down that entire line with severe thunderstorm warnings, and then into Alabama, and eventually it's going to get into Georgia also too. So it's moving to the east. Most of these storms themselves are moving about 40, 50 miles an hour. This one that has the tornado warning moving a little faster. You can see that bow that's causing that. Winds are getting pretty fierce, and it's also having a better signature with our radar, showing you the dark reds, the heavy downpour associated with it. Could be also a little hail associated inside that storm that could be giving that return the way it is. We have about 8 more minutes for that tornado warning, and they've shrunk it up. Of course, they are taking parts of that polygon and expiring parts of the warning because it's already gone through those particular areas. Just 1 minute here. Get my bearings, change this, and there we are. back to the radar site. All they did was continue that tornado warning, and let me see what they're talking about with that. It's still moving about the same speed, about 60 miles an hour, radar indicated rotation, and we can see that here, and I'll show you that in just a minute. It was located about 12 miles east of Monticello now, and I'll track it out for you so you get a good idea, but let me take these off and track the storm system out. I have to do a little line because, let me try that again, because it's not exact where that point can possibly be. And it's moving, again, 60 miles an hour is a good clip. It'll be upon you pretty fast. It looks like North Corbin and about 30 miles away as it's moving that direction. So some of these places could be there very soon. Grove, be there in 22 minutes. If you're in Finston, it'll be there in 12 minutes. And North Corbin, if it holds together, it'll be there almost 30 minutes from now. Of course, by then, the warning will have expired. Doesn't mean they wouldn't issue another one, which often they do if there's still a spin that's associated with that storm. Let's go back to the velocity product so we can see it ourselves. You see how the greens and the reds are showing up together. There's a pretty good point. Let me get the arrow so you can see it. Right about in this area, you can clearly see there's a broad level rotation up along here. And this seems to be trying to go around. If it does end up looking like a coupling where it's coming around, that would be a good indication that the spin is getting stronger. But it looks like there's also straight line winds up along this entire line when we get a signature like that with this this particular product. There is a new tornado warning now. They have extended that, and Rebecca Sweet is here. Hopefully she'll be ready here soon to help alleviate some of this with me talking till 2:45. I'm sure you'll get pretty tired of that. Going back to the warned area, just to show you the new warning area. They're just extending that as it continues to drive to the east. So there you go. There's the new polygon. And McCreary, Pulaski, Wayne, Whitley County, all included. That tornado warning now goes through 2:45, and that storm is moving at about 60 miles per hour. Wow, I've seen storms move pretty fast. I've seen them move up to 70, 75 miles per hour. 60 is no joke since it's hauling so fast. It's about 10 miles northwest of Whitley City. And if you're in that path that you see there, look, it's going to be at North Corbin in about 30 minutes. You do need to take shelter immediately, even though there hasn't been a confirmed tornado. It could drop one at any time if we're getting radar signature showing a broad level spin. So it'll be near Alpine at about 2:15, Bark Camp at about 2:25 for those of you that are in that path. Now the lightning again is not so much, it's the wind that is the main concern with this particular storm system. Back out we go. And there are severe thunderstorm warnings all the way along that line. I could sit here and rattle off all the counties, but I don't know how that would help you. Just know that this entire line is going to be sweeping eastward at about 40 to 60 miles per hour. So everybody here in East Tennessee is going to be affected by it one way or the other. Todd is getting ready to go ahead and jump in here. He is going to help with coverage of this. Todd Howell, our chief meteorologist, came in a little bit earlier on. We also have the rest of the team working on other things too, to keep you informed through the night as the storm system drives eastward. And that top, the line that's up to the north, that's moving a little bit faster, causing that tornado warning. You can see it bowing out. It's going a little faster than the rest of the line that stretches down into Cumberland County now. And those of us that are in the Central Valley, maybe you are in the foothills and the mountains, hasn't even started affecting you yet whatsoever, but it will. That timeline of the storm system, let me get to that and try to show you the timing of this particular storm, because we had it out earlier for you so you can get an idea. It is affecting, just like we thought, in the plateau from 1 to 3 o'clock is the arrival, and it's arriving right now in the plateau at 2 o'clock. So it's right in the middle of that window into Cumberland County. 2 to 4 a.m., that's when we expect it to arrive into the Central Valley and also the Southern Valley and into the some of the mountains and the Smokies. And it'll sweep eastward as early as 3 o'clock. It could arrive for the counties up into Greene County, for instance, and Cott County, and then through 5 o'clock. And then continue to sweep eastward. Hopefully by then, it will have been weaker. But the main concerns with this is going to be gusts up to 60 miles per hour. Isolated tornadoes, certainly possible. That's why we have a tornado warning now. Localized flooding, quarter-size hail, you know, less likely. Yeah, you could get some flooding in some of the poor drainage areas, but more than likely it's not going to cause any widespread flooding that any of us have to be concerned with. Now, another aspect of what's going on with this particular storm is going to be the wind chill. We have temperatures falling quickly behind this storm system, and later today, we're going to have wind chills in the 20s and the 30s, and then dropping into the teens and 20s towards sunset and thereafter. So it's going to be a brutal change for you, at least briefly, but it shouldn't be lasting just a couple of days, and then we'll be out of it. Okay, we're going back to the radar site so we can see the progression of these storms. That tornado warning, again, has been extended out, and it's until 2:45 for the counties up into Kentucky. You can see there just north of Williamsburg, and that line's going to get to Williamsburg very soon as well. Todd Howell is standing by to take over at the wall. If we can go to Todd.
All right. Hey, Mike Simon, thank you so much. Yep, we've been, thank you, meteorologist Mike Simon, streaming and on air right now. This line of severe thunderstorms continues all up and down from Kentucky. We're a tornado warning. You can see, as Mike was talking about, those winds are bowing out. So we're looking at damaging winds at the very least in excess of probably 70 miles per hour, rolling through portions of McCreary County and Laurel County, Kentucky. Matter of fact, McCreary, Whitley, and Laurel counties in Kentucky. Again, that tornado warning, there's some spinning motion in the atmosphere, so we do have that tornado warning that will include North Corbin, again, just north of Williamsburg, and right around Whitley City in McCreary County, from Whitley City to Corbin, and again, continue to track into Laurel County. So here's a look at this line of some intense, heavy rainfall, some damaging winds likely. A lot of times, again, severe thunderstorm damaging winds can do the same damage as a lower end tornado. So we do have that tornado warning. It is in place for about 30 more minutes until 2:45 a.m. This does include McCreary, Pulaski, Wayne, and Whitley counties. It's radar indicated. There's several ways that to say that a tornado is confirmed or possible. This is on the lower end. Radar indicated means it's possible, not confirmed with a storm spot or law enforcement, anything like that. But we do have that potential for tornadic severe winds and damage that will continue for McCreary, again, also for Whitley, Pulaski, into Laurel counties in Kentucky. Here's a look at the velocity scan. And again, this is for Somerset down toward Whitley City, Pulaski County, McCreary County, North Corbin, again, a far northern end of Whitley County, and continuing up into Laurel County, Kentucky. Again, some severe winds will continue. This is a line of storms that stretches all the way down into northern Alabama. So all the way from Kentucky, all the way down through East Tennessee, bisecting now Crossville. Cumberland County, Crossville, you have a severe thunderstorm warning. Morgan County, severe thunderstorm warning. Scott County, Robbins, Oneida, Huntsville, severe thunderstorm warning. Damage and winds are possible, again, all the way down the plateau, Sequatchie Valley, and heading down toward Red Bank and Chattanooga, and further southwest into northern Alabama. So where you see the individual yellow lines, you see all the different radar sweeps. We have multiple radar scans because we have overlapping coverage coming on the plateau. We have Nashville, Jackson, Morristown, and High Top. We've got 4 different radar scans. So that's why I know it looks like it's almost like a circus there, but that's what all the radar beams giving us this excellent information, and this is what we're seeing. This is a line of severe winds. Notice not a ton of light. A lot of the lightning's kind of slowly coming with it, but a lot of wind energy in between right now and about 4 to 5 a.m. over the next 3 hours. We could see these severe winds plowing on through. Here's the number of strikes. There's 60 strikes in the last 15 minutes. And so we do have, again, some of that intensity of not only the thunderstorms, but those stronger winds. And that does give you a clue where some of the more focused and stronger cells are within that line. But even anywhere within this line, again, damage and winds 60 to 70 miles per hour plus, and we could see some isolated tornadoes. There's enough spinning motion coming onto the plateau up into Kentucky. This is the same area we have as far as the severe risk. A level 3 enhanced risk is in place by the Storm Prediction Center in this exact same area. So as Mike and Julia have been telling you throughout the weekend, as far as the severe risk, it was, you know, the plateau in Kentucky down into the Southern Valley. That's where we've had that enhanced level 3 out of 5 risk in place. Look at these current wind gusts, 56 mile per hour gust, gusty right now in Crossville. So that's nearly a severe thunderstorm gust as we speak. And again, you're seeing some of those very strong wind gusts continuing just in general, high winds in general. A little bit of a wind shadow, I should say, in the lee of some of the mountains coming over the mountains from south to north. And so less wind in upper East Tennessee, but that will be picking up later on tonight. So it is very windy ahead of this line of storms. Again, we'll go back to radar and show you what we're seeing as far as this line of strong to severe storms. Thank you, Mike. And a tornado warning, again, coming out of Wayne County, Kentucky, Pulaski County, also into Whitley County, Kentucky, Laurel County, and continuing to make its way, McCreary County as well, off to the east at about 60 miles per hour. So this is a line. You can even see how it's bowing out, where you see that curvature. Instead of just a straight line, notice how it's got a little bit of a kink, a curvature to it. There's only one thing that's giving it that curvature. It'd normally just be a, slow moving straight line, right? Moving just like that. Well, it's curved because strong winds are pushing out. So if you could imagine, wind and water are the same. Like if you're pouring a bucket of water down and that water's just rushing out, that's the winds that are just rushing out from this storm from Somerset to Whitley City, and they're bowing this line out. That's what that bow echo is, and it's a line of damage and winds. And we could have some possible tornadoes on either side of that bow echo as that's continuing to move off to the east at 60 miles per hour. Here's some of the communities: Poplarville, Mount Victory, again, Redbird, Williamsburg, Kentucky, in 14 minutes. A lot of times we like to shave off at least 5 minutes from that just for safety's sake. So about 10 minutes from now, Williamsburg, Kentucky, you could have potentially some severe tornadic winds with damage expected moving into your area. About 17 minutes, we'll say, in London. It says 22. Again, we shaved that off a little bit because this storm's moving very fast at 60 miles per hour, and less than 30 minutes in Barberville, Kentucky, in Knox County, Kentucky. So take cover in southeast Kentucky with this tornado warning. Let's come on down into East Tennessee, and as we take you from McCreary County in southeast Kentucky, including around Pine Knot, southward Oneida, Robbins, Sunbright, and right down through Morgan County into Cumberland County. This is this line of severe winds. Again, also 60 to maybe 70 mile per hour plus is the wind potential of damaging winds anywhere along the plateau as it continues to track on through. And again, we do have that weather impact alert that's going to continue with this line of severe storms through at least 7 a.m. Then we're going to see a break. And Mike Simon was talking about the second phase of this storm. system is colder air, and we've got snow showers in our forecast. We're probably going to be seeing some snow showers later, that we likely will, later this Monday afternoon with blustery cold winds. We're setting that aside for right now. We'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that later. Right now, we're seeing some strong to severe winds. Again, that is making its way all up and down the plateau, and this is steadily moving in. Mike, let's take a look at maybe our future cast, and we'll choose either the ARRR or the graph. Will kind of go hour by hour, but kind of so here at Knoxville, we're coming up on 2:30 almost right now. So we'll kind of walk through here. So here's what we're seeing: 3 a.m. This particular model, it's probably just a little slow, yeah, because we're almost 2:30. And it's about 30 minutes behind. But there's a look at 5 a.m. We're probably going to shave that off a little bit and say 4 to 4:30. And just because we're already seeing it over the plateau right now, and it's coming up on 2:30. So probably between, let's say 4 to 5 a.m., but probably before 5 a.m. So in about an hour and a half from right now, could be moving into the Knoxville area, roughly speaking, maybe a little bit more than that, and then making its way from 5 to 6 a.m. from Knoxville to Dandridge and Sevierville, 6 to 7 a.m., if not before, eastern areas. But once we get past that 5 to 6 a.m., the main line of storms is going to be moving past Knoxville into eastern areas, and the severe thunderstorm watch is in place until 7 a.m. So once we get past 7 a.m. for all areas, the severe threat will have cleared the area. We have a wind advisory that's going to be in place until 8 a.m. and a high wind warning for the mountains until 10 a.m. And then a winter weather advisory takes effect later this afternoon and later on tonight for the mountains. Again, we'll focus on that later, but that will take care of the severe threat. It's basically between right now and 7 a.m. most areas. And there, Mike's going to give us a preview of the second phase of that system on the plateau at noontime. Yeah, we can just talk about it briefly, certainly, as we go into the afternoon. That's what we're looking at. This model it's a little excited, and it likes the wintry weather potential. Other high-res models not quite as vigorous with this potential snow, but it's showing decent snow bands coming off the plateau and even moving some of those in the valley into the afternoon. Here's our other high-res model. It may have a better handle on it in general. They're both kind of showing similar things, but this particular one's given a little bit more credence, which is probably better and more likely across the eastern areas toward the mountains, with scattered spotty snow showers and blustery winds throughout our Monday afternoon. Light accumulation, probably anywhere in the valley, is probably going to be on the grassy surfaces, etc. But on the plateau and other areas, got a chance for that to stick to the road and cause a little bit of issues. Believe it or not, because of the abrupt change in temperature and decent snow showers moving in. So that takes care of the wintry side of the system. All right, so back to the reality of right now. And again, if you're waking up, maybe you're hearing the wind blowing around outside. A slight little bit of good news here. We are looking at a line of severe winds that's moving off the plateau. Severe thunderstorm warnings in place from Crossville all the way up into Kentucky. We have a tornado warning for Williamsburg and Corbin. More on that in a moment. But a slight little bit of good news. This is mid-March. The trees haven't fully leafed out yet. And so that helps. Now, once you get in the heart of spring, obviously in the warm season where the trees have leafed out, the trees, they catch that wind, act like a sail, and blow around. That's where you have even a lot more wind damage. But we are still, nonetheless, looking at, and particularly looking at the potential for those higher winds coming on in. So, yeah, got one of our friends out in Farragut. Wind gusts have been amazing. It's building more and more over the last 30 minutes. And sitting in the garage to watch it move up in Farragut. Thank you, Alex, for that storm report. But those strong winds moving on in. Yes, okay, thank you so much, Mike. And so here's what we're seeing. Again, we do have that line of storms bowing out with that severe thunderstorm and tornado warning making its way up in Kentucky. So again, damaging winds are still expected to be likely for Williamsburg, Kentucky, Corbin, and up into Laurel County, Kentucky. So London, Corbin, Williamsburg, back to Whitley City, from Whitley County, Kentucky, Laurel County, Kentucky, back into McCreary County, Kentucky. This is where the main batch of storms, part of Pulaski as well, is continuing to be. That's where the most intense part of this storm is right now. We also have severe winds, though, that you're likely hearing. That wind with the rain beating up against the window pane, maybe on your rooftop, etc. It's a line of severe thunderstorms with 60 to 70 mile-per-hour winds. And wherever you see these yellow boxes, this is pretty much all across East Tennessee. see Knoxville. And next up, again, pretty much most areas are expected to have probably some type of severe thunderstorm warning as this line makes its way through. And that's just the nature of what we're seeing with this particular line. Earlier, a moment ago, we had a wind gust just below 60 miles per hour in Crossville. These are the current sustained winds ahead of this line, 30 to 40 mile per hour plus winds. Got some really high winds, the mountains that are expected to be about 70 to 75 mile per hour plus winds, just from high winds in general, regardless of any storms. High wind warning for the mountains. That's until 10 a.m. Places like Cove Mountain could see 75 plus mile per hour winds. Here's a look at our severe thunderstorm warning. Sometimes it's helpful to look at these warnings and advisories without the radar so you can see the scope. This is where the severe weather is right now, and everything's moving steadily east, and will continue to make its way east as we go into the early morning hours. So coming up on 2:30, and we've got some severe weather moving in. Thank you, Rebecca. That's the wind advisory that is in place. That's going to be in place until 8 a.m. Here's a look at the severe thunderstorm watch until 7 a.m. This does include Knoxville up to Kentucky, Virginia. There's a separate tornado watch where there's a little bit more instability and spinning motion in the atmosphere. That includes the Cumberland Plateau, Fentress, Morgan, Cumberland counties, and it also includes Ray, Meigs, McMahon, Monroe counties southward to Chattanooga and the rest of Southeast Tennessee. So this is the area where there's a little bit greater risk for maybe some severe weather damage, but even beyond this, looking downstream, we still have that potential for severe winds. So that's why it's a severe thunderstorm watch instead of a tornado watch. A little bit of just difference in the wind energy, but severe weather is possible area-wide through 7 a.m. So that's going to take us through the rest of tonight and early in the morning. It is mainly tied to this singular line, though. It's not one of those storm scenarios where we're seeing a lot of individual cells all over the place. No, it's mainly focused on this main line. Once this line kind of moves through, the severe threat is pretty much waning after that line. So it's pretty much tied to this single line right here. But it is impactful. You notice there are a lot of heavier showers and general rain showers behind it, and that's what we're continuing to see. So again, the tornado warning continues for parts of southeast Kentucky, and I believe that's until 2:45. We'll have to check that again for parts of Kentucky. But that's what we're seeing as far as tracking there, and that line continues all the way down, now passing through Crossville, Fairfield, Glade, and working its way past Sunbright, heading toward Wartburg, also Lansing, and continuing to track up toward Robbins, Winona, and Huntsville, and continue to make its way past Oneida. And here's a look at, you can see the intensity of that line all the way up in Kentucky, right there. See those darker red colors? There's our tornado warning. Thank you, Rebecca. At 2:45 p.m., Laurel, McCreary, Pulaski, and Whitley counties. That's radar indicated, but some severe winds with possible tornado moving through southeast Kentucky. So that's why we're here bringing you coverage. Again, I know it's in the middle of the night. This is where it's tough, because a lot of times some storms happen at night. They're harder to see. Some certainly don't be out driving around in them, and you need to make sure you have a way to get your weather information, to get your alerts in the middle of the night, and know where to go in your safe place. Rebecca's plotting the cities right here for our storm track, as some of these communities are in the path of this storm, and from right now around Youngs Creek, Keavy, North Corbin, less than 10 minutes from right now, and continue to track toward Bush and Lincoln within the next 30 minutes. So any communities that are located basically between London, Corbin, and Williamsburg, and anywhere in between, this is what we're seeing right now, is this line of intense storms, possibility of a tornado tracking through parts of southeast Kentucky. Again, it's the main line that's going to be very impactful, and of course, very heavy rainfall, sheets of rain, and some strong winds. Matter of fact, Mike Simon, Rebecca Sweet, we were chatting a moment ago as we were in our streaming center. You could hear at Channel 10, you can really hear the winds kicking up, even before in Knoxville. So the storms aren't even here yet, but we would hear our door on the roof. It flaps a lot when we have really intense winds, so could hear that pretty steady. So those winds are definitely picking up. Maybe that's what you're hearing around your house. Hopefully loose objects have been secured around the house, because we do have that wind advisory that's going to continue the rest of tonight and early morning. And look at the energy, look at the lightning that's coming out of Middle Tennessee. And again, the intensity of storms is expected to be the highest and greatest where it is right now on the plateau and basically into the Western Valley, along and west of 75, kind of where we're seeing it right now, up into Kentucky certainly, and that's 75 up in Kentucky. This is where the greatest threat and impacts of severe weather are expected. So we're seeing that play out right now. Once it moves into the Central Valley around Knoxville, north and south, still could see some strong to severe storms. Obviously, we have a severe thunderstorm watch, and we'll probably be seeing some warnings, but it's going to slowly weaken once we move past that Interstate 75 corridor axis, if you will. To the east, there's less instability, and they're not expecting to have the same intensity of storms in general compared to what western areas, these areas on the plateau are seeing right now. So just to give you an idea, this is pretty much right on cue and is pegged by the Storm Prediction Center where the enhanced risk area was. That's where the greatest threat for severe weather is. It's going to slowly weaken as we go the next several hours. But before it weakens all the way, we could have some severe weather, and that's why we have a severe thunderstorm watch until 7 a.m. That includes most of East Tennessee. It's until 3 a.m. Central Daylight Time. It's past 1:30 on the plateau. Once this line moves on through, maybe slightly ahead of schedule. Thank you, Becca. That's what we're seeing. So this is one of our high-res models that's showing that line kind of between now and 6 a.m., kind of barreling on through the region. So over the next 3 hours or so, this line of storms is going to progressively make its way through the region. This is 6 a.m. just past Knoxville. There's 7 a.m. and that will conclude for most areas the threat for severe weather. Once we get past 7 a.m., it's moving into the mountains on up toward Greenville and the Tri-Cities. In the wake, just some leftover rain, lighter rains in Knoxville. What is that? Those are snow showers that will be arriving later on this Monday. And yeah, and Rebecca and Julia are going to pick it up there as we go the rest of later this morning. Look at this. Yeah. So Rebecca and Julia are going to be talking about, wow, we had these severe storms and high winds and the heavy rain going to be moving out. And then we're going to switch hats. And what in the world? We got snow showers, blustery, cold winds with some light accumulations possible in some areas, especially in the mountains and higher elevations. The Horseshoe Counties likely going to see some snowfall and some accumulations here on this Monday, March 16th. And cold temperatures also in the wake of these snow showers later on this Monday night, Tuesday morning. We're dropping down to 20s. Matter of fact, we talked about this last week. We hit 76 degrees for high temperature yesterday, Sunday afternoon. And so we've already started that fall. We're going to be seeing, this is the forecast wind chill, we're going to be falling all the way through Tuesday morning. Look at our wind chills. Again, we're just taking a brief pause from the severe weather. We'll get right back to it. But once we get into tomorrow, this is Tuesday morning, wind chills in the 20s and teens at 2 a.m. So that's the cold. Look at that wind chill of 11 just after midnight tonight and tomorrow morning. So that's the cold side of this system coming in. But right now, yep, we're still on the warm side. Last check, our temperature was still running about 70 degrees, maybe in the upper 60s now, but it is so warm. It's windy outside. It's still very much spring-like, but it's about to be, this is a winter time cold front. It's still officially winter, and it's going to be feeling like it as we go in time. So look at that. Yeah, that's our current 71 right now. Look at that. Yeah, 19 degrees warmer compared to the same time last night and at this time. So there you go. You're seeing still those, look at those warm 70s ahead of this strong front. There's the current wind gust, 30 to 40 mile per hour plus winds. A little bit of a wind minimum and shadow of northeast Tennessee. These are the strong winds. This is where the high wind warning's in place for Sevier, Cocke, and Blount counties. And those winds coming over the mountains, and then that's kind of what we call rain shadow, but also on the lee side of the mountains, their winds are a little bit less once they move further to the north. But a lot of focused wind energy, and that includes Horse Creek and Camp Creek in Greene County for you. You got strong winds again, some mountain wave activity, these stronger winds descending down the mountains right now. That's the high wind warning. And look at that gust in Knoxville, 46 miles per hour right now. If we could hear that on our roof. So back to the line of severe storms, as I mentioned a moment ago, it stretches from northern Kentucky and maybe even up in Ohio, actually, all the way down into northern Alabama. It's an impressive line of storms. It's a squall line just ahead of the actual cold front that's still back to our west. That cold front will move through later this morning, and that's going to send our temperatures plummeting. But ahead of that cold front, this is the squall line, and this is what we're seeing with that potential for damaging winds. And notice what we're seeing. This is still just bowing out right here. So unfortunately, we're hoping for the best, but we're expecting the possibility of power outages and with damaging winds fairly likely. When we see this radar signature like that, and again, I know there's a tornado warning, but what stands out is a pretty wide swath of damaging winds possible. That's a bowing out segment, a bow segment right here that's continuing to just fan on out. So those are some pretty strong, intense winds, damaging winds, causing what looks like on radar to curve out like that, to bow out. That's the damaging winds causing it to look like that. So elsewhere, down in East Tennessee, again from Crossville to Huntsville, all the way up to Williamsburg, that's where we're seeing some particularly damaging wind gusts. That does stretch down into Spring City, and these are severe thunderstorm warnings that are going to continue until just before 3 a.m. I think, is that also 2:45? I'm taking a guess on that, but I think as far as those as far as the warnings just back to our west, I know they'll pop up, but I believe that takes us just before 3 a.m. or so. So that's what we're looking at right now. Again, that's that line of storm. Thank you, Becca. Yeah, the 2:45 for, again, that's the tornado possible. And yes, 2:45. And so both of those for about another 7 minutes, this line of severe weather. Now, once we get to 3 a.m., we're probably going to see, as this line continues to work its way eastward, probably going to see that being extended with some of those warnings and continue to work their way on to the east. So that's... Yeah, go ahead, Beck. Yeah.
Okay, well, let me just jump in. So I'm, kind of controlling this for Todd, but we're also jumping in and we're hearing from the National Weather Service. So right now, we do have primarily out of our viewing area, but we do have reports of seeing several trees down across the county. This is going to be primarily in Scott County right now. That's coming from the Oneida area. This is coming from law enforcement. So that happened right around 2:30 this morning. Out of our viewing area in Sequatchie, we do have several trees down as well. Marion County, we're continuing to see several trees down. Just continuing on with these gusty winds that are making their way into the region, these severe thunderstorm warnings. So that's where we are seeing these boxes in the yellow where we do have those wind gusts again up until 2:45 this morning. We also have that tornado warning that Todd has been tracking up into Kentucky. So again, that is going to be in effect until 2:45. So continuing on for another 6 minutes. This storm in particular is just swiftly moving off to the east. So we're continuing to see it move roughly like 60 miles per hour. So as we put this into motion, again, this is all going to be radar indicated. So it is not a confirmed tornado. We are just watching the potential for some bowing with this system. And so that's where you can get a little bit of extra spin in the atmosphere. And so if you're looking at this with this tornado warning, again, in effect for another 5 minutes, they have not expired this warning yet. But this is going to be with the potential of seeing an isolated tornado. So again, radar indicated. But if you do see this and you see your town, I know it's 2:40 in the morning, but maybe you've had an alarm go off on your phone. But if you do see this, this is the time to get into your safe place again, the lowest level in your house. Even if we do not have a tornado within this system, gusty winds, again, within themselves can lead to the potential for those down trees and power outages that we're going to be tracking as this line of storms moves through. So you notice again, this is into southeast Kentucky. This is for a tornado warning that we have into Laurel and Whitley counties again until 2:45 this morning. This is going to impact areas around, let's say, the Ashers Fork area within the next 20 to 25 minutes, Gray, Tuttle within the next 5 to 10 minutes. So this is just the best time frame to get into your safe place, get to the lowest possible level of your house, and just kind of let these storms continue to move through. But as we've been saying this morning, these storms are moving very quickly. I've not seen as much reports coming out of Kentucky right now. Let's see, of some damage. So let's see. We do have some reports of, let's say, some damage. This is going to be in the Burnside community. They've had some wind gusts anywhere between 50 to 60 miles per hour. They're asking if they're going to continue to see if this warning is going to carry on. We just got report of a tree down in a garage, car, and a truck on Circle Lane in Burnside. So again, this is going to be up into Kentucky, just reading some for this information. As for what we're seeing in parts of East Tennessee, it looks like the best news that we can have out of this system is that we are continuing to watch our temperatures drop on the backside of this system. Dew points continuing to drop, and so there is going to be some major changes as what you've been hearing from Todd, but that's just kind of an update as to what we have. Let me look at some power outages right now, Todd, since we're just kind of taking a brief break, and we'll see what they end up doing with this warning. But power outages right now across East Tennessee, the most that we have here across our region. Right now we have roughly, let's say, 1,100 out in Cumberland County, up into parts of Fentress County, not doing too bad, 44 people out. And then we also do have in Blount County right now, sitting at close to near 1,500 people without power. So we do have multiple power outages across the region, and that's even ahead of this main line. So again, here you can see some of those power outages. You notice the northern half of the plateau tends to be the area that is seeing it the worst across our region. Most of those counties are just right outside of our viewing area. Cumberland County is kind of the area in particular where we're going to continue to see a majority of those power outages in place. But I do expect that this is going to increase. Anderson County looking at 152 people out. We don't have anyone well, I guess Knox County, 277 people without power right now. But again, I do expect that these numbers are going to continue to increase as this line moves into the region. So thank you so much for taking those power outages. Let's kind of talk quickly again one more time about this line of severe weather that is moving through the region, and then I'll send it back to you, Todd. It looks like we still have that tornado warning. It's going to be in place here for about another minute or so, but even without this tornado warning, if they end up letting it expire, we're still watching this line of some very gusty winds pushing through the region. We can hear things on top of our roof at our station continuing to blow around. And as we loop this over the last hour, you can see that so far this storm has really kind of maintained its strength. Just moments ago, Todd, you mentioned that we have temperatures here in Knox County into the 70s. So it is very, very warm. There's a lot of fuel for this cold front as it continues to move through. But on the backside of this system, we are going to be trending much cooler with temperatures today continuing to drop. I mean, look at some of those temperatures right now. 71 in Knoxville, 72 in Dandridge, 73 in Lenore City. This is right ahead of that cold front that's going to be pushing into the region, along with this line of showers and thunderstorms and these gusty winds moving into the area. We are going to continue to see those temperatures drop today. So if you're up and at 'em with us early this morning, maybe you're hearing those gusty winds, maybe you've lost power, just know that as this line moves through, things are about to change. And I do expect once we start to see this line progressively move through, I know that we do have this tornado watch that is in effect until 6 o'clock this morning. I don't quite think that they're going to make it all the way to 6 o'clock this morning as this line moves through, because once this line pushes through your area, folks, beyond that, you can go to bed. I mean, at that point, you may have the potential again for still seeing some storm damage, and we would love to see those pictures safely as the sun comes up. But if you're worried about going to sleep after this main line moves through your region, you do have the potential to go to sleep. So we're going to kind of highlight that. But right now, it looks like this main line is just starting to push its way into East Tennessee at this moment. So good news again, they did let that tornado warning into parts of Southeast Kentucky expire. So right now we are just tracking severe thunderstorm warnings across the region. Again, with the severe thunderstorm warning, we're continuing to see wind gusts likely over 58 miles per hour, with the potential of bringing in those downed trees, power outages. That's kind of the main concern that we're seeing. But Todd, as you and I were saying earlier this morning, this is probably going to be the case in the scenario that we're going to see as this line just progressively pushes through East Tennessee. It's going to be a line of severe weather. Not a whole lot of thunder and lightning. You do notice that we do have some thunder and lightning that may wake up your kiddos, but it's these gusty winds that are going to be the biggest concern at this moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Rebecca Sweet, thank you so much. And good morning to you, Rebecca. Good morning, folks. And looking at some of and Becca was just talking about this. That's the good news, that tornado warning expiring, but severe winds still looks like they're tracking and plowing through parts of Kentucky. I'm looking at some of the wind velocities. And Becca, if we want to go in at some point and just to the west of Knoxville, even ahead of this line, yeah, right there. That's exactly. See the blue? We're getting some almost severe winds, even just ahead of the main line of actual thunderstorms and that main line of heavy rainfall. So it's almost, and you kind of see a separation here, it's almost like that's the line just ahead of the rain. But then look at that. Yeah. There it is, 68. Now, we are looking at, from the National Weather Service office in Morristown, the further you go away from the radar site, the radar beam is getting up higher in elevation, so it's picking up a lot of those winds aloft. Nonetheless, it's picking up those winds aloft. Heavy rain could bring those down to the surface. So we're looking at some 50 to 60 mile per hour plus winds. Where we see that lighter blue color on our velocity scans, that's basically denotes 60 mile per hour winds or higher in general, 55, 60 and higher, which are severe winds. And so even if they're aloft, they can be transferred down to the surface, because when you have heavy rain, that can bring down the high winds with it. Get a 2-for-1. So that line of heavy rain, and we saw that's still a pretty intense line that's making its way from Wartburg and Crossville southward. So heads up Oak Ridge, Oliver Springs, so southern Anderson County, also into Roane County, heads up Hardin Valley, Farragut. Had a friend, Alex, just tell me he's got a couple of trees down in his neighborhood. He was sitting in the garage watching the storms. I'm sure it's a safe proximity there, Alex, but he's got a couple of trees down in Farragut. And look at this. Yeah, we're seeing some of those strong winds. And even the main line is still back here. And so just ahead of that main line, just the strong wind field in general. That's how much wind energy is in the atmosphere that we're seeing coming up. So 60, 58, and 57 mile per hour. Again, select wind sampling the atmosphere here. That's what Doppler radar is detecting in this shade of blue. So Oak Ridge down toward Lenoir City, and also Paint Rock and Kingston and Roane County. So Anderson, Roane, Loudoun counties down toward Neota, Sweetwater. Again, Madisonville, Von Orr down toward in McMinn County as well. Again, just to the south and west of Knoxville, we're seeing, and Becca's looping the radar right here. Those are some strong to severe winds that are tracking up into the region. And meteorologist Mike Simon driving safely on his way home on the interstate, just talking about being very windy. It is a safe location now. Car getting blown around a little bit. Everyone needs to be careful on the roadways. So Mike Simon, who was here all last night and reporting, again, driving home safely, but getting blown around on the interstate. So high-profile vehicles, two hands on the wheel. So again, these winds mean business. Becca, that's one of the big clues right now in the atmosphere, isn't it? I mean, even before the main line of heavy rain and high winds gets here, we're looking at some intense winds of 50 to 60 miles per hour. In addition to, once that line arrives, we could have severe winds of 60 to 70 miles per hour plus, because that's when you're typing it, that's when you get the heavy rain that could pull down, literally pull down some of those strong winds that are above our heads several thousand feet and come on down. So it's a lot of wind energy even outside of storms. You don't even have to have a lot of lightning necessarily. We do still have that, but we can see some severe winds even without thunder or lightning. There, Becca's doing a track of this whole line, yeah, from Jellicoe all the way down, again, past down to Athens, and anywhere up and down this line. Again, there is that possibility of severe winds. So we're talking about Harriman in Roane County, Coalfield in Morgan County, Paint Rock in Roane County, Fincastle, again, up into Campbell County for you, and off McLeod Mountain, and seeing that continuing to come on to the south and east. Hopewell, Oak Ridge, of course, Anderson County, and suburban hills. That could be pretty much anywhere, but perhaps in West Knox County. But that's what we're looking at, again, with that line of some intense winds that's continuing to track to the east. Now, here we are at 2:50. Let's see, most of our models are bringing this in between about 4 to 5 a.m. Looks like it may be running slightly ahead of schedule, So we could easily see this inside Knoxville within the hour, maybe before 4 a.m., maybe that 3:30 to 4 a.m. So thank you, Becca. There's, this model's probably a little slow, but that's 5 a.m. I mean, hope it is kind of slow, because there'll be a lot of wind energy over the next 2 hours before I got here. But there's some different models we look at. That one's probably a little slow, and also this particular one showing some snow showers possible later on, and the sun has set. Now, we'll get that back up in just a moment, but that's what we're seeing. Here's a different model. Yeah, thank you, Becca. Yeah, this one, actually, this probably got a better handle on it. Is that the H one? That's the G one. Thank you. We got little codes for our high-res models, but thank you. This is the one. This probably has a better handle on it, doesn't it? Because here we are coming up on 3, and that's 4. Yeah, I think that's got that timing's probably a little bit better. The other one had 5. It's probably an hour slow. This is better. So it's probably going to be more of that closer to that 4 a.m., if not before. So thank you, Becca. That's what we're looking at. See these reds from Tellico Plains, Knoxville, Tazewell, Maynardville, and Strawberry Plains, continuing up around Blaine, Plainview, and Union County, Granger County, Morristown, Hamlin County. Again, we'll see these line of winds. Now, they are still expected. This is 5 a.m. I think this does have a much better handle, actually, versus the other one as far as the timing. We are expecting that line of storms as it works its way east of Knoxville between that, after we go 4, 5, 6, 7 a.m. It's going to weaken some later on. Maybe, but maintaining some of those stronger winds. The concern is we have very strong winds aloft, and there's a tap that's connected with that line right now. So that's going to keep the wind energy. Then, here we go. Once we get past noontime, later on this Monday morning into the afternoon, I may still be sleeping this time, but anyway, we're going to see snow showers, and Becca, you'll probably take a nap later. Julia and Cassie will probably update us on this, and we'll all be pitching in, of course, talking about it. But we're looking at snow showers. Look at this. Snow showers are moving in for the second half of our Monday, from midday, lunchtime, if not late morning, into the afternoon. How about that? It's going to be much colder, blustery. And so, welcome back from spring break, right? A lot of folks, what in the world? Just got back from spring break, and, wow, we're going to get what? Yeah, we're going to get some high winds, 70s to 20s with snow showers. Yeah, in less than 24 hours. So 71 right now in Knoxville, 73 in Lenore City with wind, with 50 to 60 mile per hour winds, and you're in the 70s right now. And that's what we're looking at. 50s on the plateau, but you've got that strongest line of storms that's moved through your area for Crossland, Jamestown. So hopefully, and Becca said this a moment ago, that tornado watch goes until 3 a.m. Central Daylight Time, so maybe another hour or so. But hopefully that's going to be canceled or expired early once that line moves through. But look at those temperatures. Yeah, we're going to talk about the contrast. Here's the severe thunderstorm watch until 7 a.m. It includes basically most all of East Tennessee, Kentucky, and Virginia. The tornado watch is specifically for Fentress, Morgan, Cumberland counties, and also Ray, Meigs, McMinn, and Monroe counties. Now, just for the Ray, Meigs, Monroe, and McMinn counties, for the eastern counties, it's until 6 a.m. It's until 3 a.m. Central for Fentress and for Cumberland County. So hopefully that will be expiring a little bit early, but that's the threat for severe weather. But that kind of gives you an idea that once we get past 7 a.m., the severe threat will have ended. Hopefully, if not, just before, but that's what we're looking at again. Probably, I don't want to, guess prematurely, but once we get to 3 a.m., we're probably going to see a new set of warnings, if not before, shortly, being extended further to the east. This line of storms looks like it's maintaining its strength, and that's continuing up into Kentucky. Jackson, Kentucky's continued to warn this storm. Becca mentioned this a moment ago, and the good news, yeah, like Rebecca said, that tornado warning that thankfully has expired and canceled early, but we still could be seeing some damaging winds. Power outages, down trees and power outages are going to be the two things that we're probably going to be having to deal with as we go through the rest of this morning. Very heavy rainfall, but again, the impacts from the high winds going to be the down trees and debris and power outages. So we're going to hope for the best, but when you get 60 to 70 plus mile per hour winds or higher than that, we're going to probably get some power outages possible. All right, for right now, I'm going to send it back over to the Weather Center, and once again say good morning to Rebecca Sweet.
Thank you so much, Todd. Yeah, you let us know whenever we want to kind of regroup and maybe kind of talk a little bit more about the system now that we don't have a tornado warning in place. That's originally why about an hour ago we were doing our streaming, which we can do. Again, you can get this on your mobile device. You can follow us even when these storms are moving in. We jumped on TV because we had that tornado warning that was in place for parts of Kentucky. Now we just have a line of severe weather. Now I want to mention, as you look behind me, so you see this line, this is what Todd was talking about with those gusty winds. So once this line moves through, folks, it's not quite moving its way through parts of East Tennessee yet, but on the back side of this system, so for folks who are right on the other side, let me get you a little arrow. This is where I want to say, hey, you can go to bed, folks, right over here. So this is what we're kind of hoping for. So if you live into parts of, let's say, Fentress County, maybe into the western half of Cumberland County, once this main line moves through your region, your concern for those gusty winds will be out of the region. So yes, you can relax, you can go to bed. I'm sorry, folks, but folks out here, yeah, we still kind of have a few more hours of continuing to track this line of strong to severe thunderstorms. But even ahead of this main line, we are continuing to see some of those gusty winds, as Todd was talking about just moments ago, as we look at the velocity scan. So we're not looking at the velocity right now to highlight any spin in the atmosphere. We're looking at the velocity right now to look at some wind gusts. And now a reminder, when we look at these wind gusts, we're tracking this from the National Weather Service. This is based in Morristown. So this is like a radar beam that is going up into the sky. And so the higher up it goes, it picks up sometimes on some of those winds aloft. So when I look at some of these numbers, we're looking at some of these gustier winds even ahead of this main line. May not necessarily be what is hitting the surface, but when you factor in some heavier rain that is pushing in, there is the potential, again, easily that we could be seeing some 60 to well, I don't want to quite go to 70, but I'd say roughly 50 to 60 miles per hour when it comes to these wind gusts that are hitting the surface. This is why we do have these severe thunderstorm warnings that are in place. And you might be able to hear outside of your house some of these gusty winds. Looking at some of the latest power outages right now ahead of this line, with KUB, we just have 300 people without power, which is wonderful news. Cumberland County, it looks like we're continuing to see the potential for, again, about 1,100. When I look actually on the Cumberland County's website, it looks to be a little bit closer to 2,000 people without power. And this is going to be from the Volunteer Energy Cooperative outage. So that includes Cumberland County, and it stretches all the way down into Ray, Meigs, and McMinn County. So that's where we're continuing to see quite a bit of some power outages. A new report that we have coming from the National Weather Service in Wartburg. We do have a few trees down. This is going to be in Morgan County. And this is again ahead of this main line that is pushing through. So that is showing us the opportunity for some of these gusty winds even ahead of this main line that is moving through. So right now, well, I guess I should say Wartburg just had this main line that was continuing to slide into the region. But with that line of some strong gusty winds, we did have the potential of seeing some of those down trees, which is what's going to lead to the opportunity for some of those power outages as well. I know a lot of people probably wondering what's going to happen to school today. Are we going to have school? Again, that's totally not out of our control, but that is, I should say, totally out of our control. But I will say that this severe weather is expected to be out of the area even before your kids get up for school, which is wonderful news. Parents, I'm so sorry because you're probably exhausted because you've been tracking these storms. Let's look at the Futurecast model. So yeah, Todd had kind of said this one had a better grip on it. I would agree with him as well. So here is close to around 2 o'clock this morning. Here's 3, 4 o'clock. So starting to push its way into parts of Campbell County, Anderson County, West Knox County, Loudoun County, Blount County. This is when we still expect to see what will likely be a line of severe thunderstorms pushing through the region. I expect these warnings to carry on, but then by about 4, 5 o'clock, guess what, folks? This shifts to the east of I-75, and really it looks like from that point on, although these storms will still bring in the potential for some gusty winds, the risk for severe weather doesn't quite look to be as intense, which is good news. But beyond that, again, after this main line moves through, if you're maybe not having to get up for work just yet, try and catch a few more Z's if you have the potential to do that, because by the time we head into 7, 8, 9 o'clock this morning, folks, things are going to be quiet. You're probably going to be like, whoa, what happened last night? Did we have a line of storms that moved in? Yes, but then, as Todd has been talking about and as we've been mentioning, we continue to see the opportunity for, what is this? Snow. I know, crazy. The potential for seeing some snow showers pushing their way into the region. Most of this snow looks like it is going to be rather light. Not expecting much in accumulation. So when it comes to maybe having a snow day the next day or schools being out, you have to think, folks, right now we have temperatures sitting into the 70s. So we're gonna have very warm surface temperatures. This snow is just not gonna be able to overcome that. But nonetheless, for it being this late in the season, it is still very impressive to see the potential for some snow. We have Mike Simon's show here that I'm working with. I want to try and show up some of those regional temperatures. If not, we'll get those for you in just a moment, because I do want to show you how much cooler it is off to our west on the back side of this frontal boundary. I mean, we're looking at temperatures across parts of Middle Tennessee, like getting down into the 50s. So that cooler air is pushing into the region, but at this current moment, it's warm. We've got a lot of energy that we're going to be sliding with. Ooh, here we go. So here's a look at those current temperatures. Oh, Nashville, 49 degrees. Memphis, 39. Paducah, 37. So on the backside of this system, that cold air is going to continue to usher into the region. And it is really going to switch things up. I mean, look at that, 49 in Nashville.
Oh, wow.
I know, dew points already starting to drop into parts of Chattanooga as well. So we do have much drier, cooler air on the backside of this system.
Here it comes, Becca.
I know,
You've been
right?
saying it's going to be a drastic change. Hey, Julia's here, by the way. She's getting all set. So,
Do you want to take a little pause point, or should we keep going? What do you think?
you know, we've got this. I was wondering if they were going to extend this warning further to the east now that it's just past 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And we'll have to see if they take that further east. But these winds are still.
Do you want to turn on your microphone, Todd?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that's what we're looking at in terms of those strong winds.
Okay. Well, we definitely do have some strong winds making their way into the area. So yeah, that's kind of the biggest concern that we're going to be tracking throughout this morning. If you're just starting off your morning with us, folks, again, we do have this line of some gusty winds. It's 3:03 this morning. You can see this line of gusty winds that's going to be pushing into the east. The only warnings that we have in place right now are severe thunderstorm warnings, and these are just going to be for gusty winds. We do have another report of seeing some damage. This is going to be into Ray County. This is going to be for some trees down. Truly, folks, that's been the only reports of some damage that I've had, and I have a feeling we're not going to be getting in a lot of these pictures until the sun comes up, which understandably, I hope a lot of you are just trying to stay in bed at this moment and trying to get some sleep, but I know it's a little tough with all of these gusty winds perhaps making their way into the region. So far, again, we're giving you a glimpse of your satellite and radar. Things are continuing to stay relatively strong as we watch this line of severe thunderstorms moving into the region. I think at this point, folks, since we do not have a tornado warning in place, we may pause, kind of regroup, take a quick moment. We are likely going to update you more so on our streaming platform, and then know that we're going to be starting here on air coming up in about an hour and a half. But as this line pushes closer into the Central Valley, again, we're going to continue to track this, and we'll probably do another cut-in coming on TV in just a little bit. So stay with us. Again, we're still going to be here all morning, but now as we're continuing to kind of get more of this information, and we just kind of want to regroup, make sure we have the latest information, and then we'll continue to have much more coming up in just a few minutes. So thanks for joining us, folks. We'll see you in just a few.
Among those countries.